Hello, everyone. This is the Social Media Current, and today I'm very excited to interview Regina of By Regina TV. She's done 10,000s of courses, and her blog is simply amazing. And she provides a lot of information for free that you would be paying for otherwise. So I'll let Regina take from there and introduce herself.
Thank you so much for having me. Number one, I'm so excited about your brand and everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, as stated, hi, I'm Regina, and I run my site byregina.com, and I also test out a million different brands and projects other places around the internet. But I'm absolutely excited to talk about anything social media, online business building, all of that brand building. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. So my first question is that recently your business went through a huge overhaul, and you decided to offer all of your courses for free. And this is not something that this industry sees often. So tell us a little bit about that and what prompted you to turn around your brand 180.
Great question. When I started my site and my brand, I built it on trying to offer a lot of value for free. And that typically came through creating things like really long blog posts, or some of my ebooks were free. A lot of times I would do workshops. They didn't even have like sign up screens or anything like that. I wasn't collecting email addresses. I wasn't doing the smart marketing at first. I was just really wanting to get the information that I was passionate about out there. And that's kind of how I built the brand, and that's how people began to like know me and know the brand. And as a way to monetize, I branched into online courses because I really wanted to reach more people at one time than just the courses that I was teaching in person. I was teaching small business and social media courses in person, and I wanted to reach more people with the information because people still had so many questions. And I mean, you probably know how it is. And so that's why I originally got into online courses. But now you have to kind of like evolve with the times, in my opinion. And um, the landscape is changing. And not to say that education as an online business is dying down or anything like that. There's still so much, great money to be made helping people through courses. But for me, I felt like it's time to move on to something different. I want to have basically for sale, I only want to be able to sell things that are very hands-on, very kind of mastermindy, they're involved. I want to be able to walk with a fewer number of people, a smaller number of people in a more one-on-one fashion. I mean, it's still groups, but it's closer to one-on-one. And so then I was like, anything that's like an online course, I can actually offer that for free. I can find ways to monetize those courses without charging the customer. So I can't quite say who it is yet, but I just got a large company that I really respect to sponsor one of my courses. So now they're paying me instead of clients paying me, instead of customers
That's
paying me.
awesome.
So I'm really excited about that. But just to kind of answer your question, one of the major reasons that I went that route is because typically, even if somebody's only spending $100 or $300 on a course, my brand, the way I had it set up, that money makes that customer think that they'll have a certain level of access or be able to ask me questions, which I love that they think that. But at the same time, I was selling so much, with courses that I didn't really have the time to support everyone at the level that they might have wanted to. So I'm more like, okay, just offer that stuff for free and then, charge more for things that do really come with that group support or one-on-one support. That was a long answer, but hopefully that got it.
That's perfect. Yeah, and I have to say your courses are so in depth. So I think they're really worth the money, even though you don't get that one-on-one support necessarily. But I think it's still awesome. And by the way, by Regina has her Facebook group, so join that, and she's really active in the Facebook group as well. So you said something about masterminds and how it's more hands-on, and I definitely can see that your business is moving towards addressing those needs and offering more mastermind groups. Tell me a little bit about that. Why is it important to find a mastermind group, and what made you decide to offer one or host one?
Yeah, so, as the consumer, I think it's a great idea for us as learners or for people who are trying to accomplish a specific goal. I think it's a great idea to assess whether we want something that is more of a community-based program. So it might not be the best fit for everyone, but I notice, and you probably notice as well, when people especially are building businesses online, it can feel very lonely. And a lot of the times, you're the only person you know in your entire life that's building a business. And so you can have conversations with family members and friends, and even if they're super intelligent, super supportive people, there's going to be a limit to the type of conversation they can have with you and engage, with you on. So when you have a brand like yours or mine that is serving people who are business owners, that's one thing you have to keep in mind is like how many other people in their lives are supporting their goals. Whereas typically, if you, let's say you have a brand that helps in some type of lifestyle change, like you have a brand that's maybe a weight loss or fitness brand, a lot of the times you'll find that there are multiple other people in your life who want to lose weight or have been through a similar fitness journey, or whether it's you're going vegan or something like that. Sometimes you can find people in real life. Sometimes you still can't, and you would want an online community. But again, in the business space, a lot of times, if we as the course providers or people providing these materials and products for people don't try to do something to facilitate community, then that person is left like implementing tips in a vacuum, and kind of like not having anyone that they can like lament with or vent to or rejoice with, and it can just feel so lonely. And so I feel like a large part of people being able to truly take action on the information and excitedly attack their business goals, a lot of that deals with not doing it alone. And for if I can do that at any level, like I do that for free with my Facebook group called Humans of Online Business, or if it can be built into the product, then that's something I want to try to do. And obviously, it's not something you can do at a really, really low price point all the time, especially if you have a larger audience. So it does typically mean maybe charging a little bit more, but it can be such a great experience. So that's kind of why I chose to do it. And what's great with masterminds is you can really do them at different levels. Like people don't have to get overwhelmed with like, okay, well, I want to provide community, but this sounds really hard. Like I totally get that. But you can do it at different levels. You can do it anywhere from just providing a free Facebook group for people, or free if they paid you for a specific product.
Yeah.
You could do one for free as well. But anyway, you could provide this Facebook group for people where you come in and you have 3 conversations a week. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you start a conversation as the group owner and you try to get people engaged in that conversation. That's just a basic level of trying to provide some type of community. And this can go all the way up to like meeting in person, once a month, and, maybe doing some one-on-one calls during that time, and belonging to a specialized community like with like minynetworks.com or slack.com, belonging to a special community where they can literally ask questions 24 hours a day and you promise to get back to them within 24 hours. So there's like a large spectrum of how involved you make your group component or your mastermind. So again, there's me rambling.
It's perfect. Um, so why do you think it's so important? I think one big reason masterminds groups are so popular these days is because you get those accountability buddies that
Hmm.
get you and kind of hold you accountable to your goals and your whatever you said you would do, you feel like you have to go and do it now. So why do you think it's so important to have those kind of accountability buddies, even if somebody may not be able to afford the mastermind group at this point? Why is it still important to find somebody that who would hold you accountable to your
Right.
business goals?
I think because none of what we're doing is easy. Like if you're a business owner and you're trying to accomplish major goals with your business, It's not easy. Like, and anyone who would make it seem so, I think, is misrepresenting it or maybe forgetting some of the initial struggles they went through. It's not easy. And I think that if there's any tool that can help you make that process a little more simple or a little more, maybe bearable or doable sometimes, then it is worth investing in. And luckily, relationships are typically not something you have to invest money in to build. Typically, and hopefully, you can build those for free. And so, finding an accountability buddy, finding someone that you can relate to either by belonging to some free Facebook groups and finding some natural connections that pop off through there, or by joining a mastermind. Maybe it's a really inexpensive one if you can't afford a more, put together one that costs a lot, or maybe it's some free type of thing that people host at some point. A lot of what I see a lot is that people just attend workshops together. Like, there are a lot of online workshops in the business space, webinars, and I see a lot of people make friends with each other in the chat of a webinar that I'm hosting, and then they go on to support each other. So however it is that you find these people, even if you go to in-person events in your city for entrepreneurs or for whatever it is that you're doing, this is probably the best and most free tool to help you grow. And I think it's because as soon as we say something with our words, we declare something, whether it is to us, one other person, a room full of people, or we publish it on our blog. On this day, I'm going to launch this thing. Publish. It's like you feel accountable to that thing because you feel that there's somebody on the other end of that information. And when it's like an accountability, but like if you and I were talking each week or each month and I was like, okay, by the next time we talk, I want to have this done. It doesn't matter if I go the next 29 days and on the 30th day, I'm like, oh, snap, I'm about to talk to her. And then I like try to do something real quick. I'm going to do something because I feel almost like not only would I be letting myself down and not moving towards my goals, but I'm letting you down. I'm not being a good partner for you if we're not both moving forward. And so for those reasons, I think it's just so important. Like, where else are you going to get a free human tool, with heart and soul to help you achieve something? It's so important, so valuable.
Definitely, definitely. So, I want to talk to you about your new show that is coming up and the reason why we got here together. So, I will play you TV. Tell us a little bit more about it and the idea behind it and how it all came together.
Okay, awesome question. So, I Will Pay You is something I've had in mind for a while in different versions. And basically, the concept there is I want, for anyone who, for anyone who runs an online business, they'll probably understand this thing. Like, things change so much. Like, whether it's an algorithm that somebody's complaining about, like, oh, the so-and-so algorithm has changed again, and you're trying to keep up with that, or just the way, the nature of the internet, the nature of online stuff, things change so much. And for me, what that always means is that I'm constantly testing out new stuff. I'm testing out new software. I'm trying new things on social media. I'm trying to stay up with what's actually working today, currently, because I don't want to teach things that maybe worked 5 years ago on the internet. 5 internet years are like 73 actual years times a little bit, you know what I mean? And so I'm always testing new stuff out. And then what I've always kind of had in mind is like, I want to not only test that new stuff out on me and my brand. Some of them are secret. Some of them people might know about. I want to actually help other, clients or people implement those same things and see if they work. My belief is they work because I'm using them in multiple brands. But I think like I can't just always be the one like, look at this new project I have. I'm Regina. Look at this project. Like, it's just like, no, we know you're Regina, but who else is doing these things? What are they doing? And so my thought is that if I can bring a client along through an experience that I've implemented and I know works, and they too can have really amazing results. Some of them have better results than I did, and then some of them might have, similar results. if I can bring them through that experience and then show the whole thing to an audience, I think this helps them learn. And it's in an entertaining format. And it also really inspires them for what they can do in their business nowadays in whatever year it is, 2017, 2018, 2019. And so the show I Will Pay You is literally, I am like right now in the season that we're in, which is going to be the first season that's released. I'm working with one client, for example, who is transitioning from a completely service-based business that is not, she loves, but is not bringing her the type of joy and stuff that she really wants her work to bring her, in the sense that she really wants to help other people in this specific way. And she wants to be able to teach and do workshops and do mentorship on this thing that she's very talented in, and you'll see in the season. But she has no idea how to go about doing that. And so I'm taking her through this process and I'm helping her implement it. And the concept of I will pay you is like, if you do all of these things and it doesn't result in a profitable product, then I'll give you $5,000. Like, if I just wasted your time, here's money. And that's because I'm so confident that if we just follow these basic principles, and some of the things I've been testing out lately, they will work. And guess what? It is working for her, And so I'm so excited to show it to everyone and kind of not do this thing where somebody publishes like, yeah, I made $10,000 on my first launch. And then people are like, okay, how? And the person's like, I did Facebook ads, and also, I have a blog. It's like, say what? And
Yes,
so
exactly.
instead, I want the audience to have tracked with, my client and myself during our process, so they'll go, oh, they made these 3 decisions. Oh, they were going to do that, but then it was a bad idea because of that. So then they changed it into that. This is what the website was looking like. This is the tool they used to do it. This is how many people registered. These are the expenses. Now I get how it was $5,000, $10,000, whatever it might be. So
Right.
did that answer your question?
Yes, that was perfect. And it sounds really interesting. I just have to comment that I think a lot of people in this field do have 200, 300 blog posts, and it's just really old or it's really simple. Like, we always get those blog posts like 10 things I did to double my following or something like that. And then you read it
Right.
and it's like, I optimized my images. Well, duh, good,
Right.
like, good for
Yeah.
you. So it sounds really cool and it's really in depth, and it seems like a lot of people can follow this. But why did you decide to go with Instagram stories, such a ephemeral medium? Because
Sure.
obviously everything will be gone in 24 hours.
Sure. Right. Great question. Very valuable question. So my thing is, I think it's important for us as modern online business owners or users of the internet to promote a more traditional brick and mortar business. Whatever you're doing, if you're doing something on the internet, I think it's so important to be paying attention to how the trends and how people are using a platform. So let's think about this. Like, whenever a platform starts, people use it in the best way they know how until they know better. What do I mean by that? When we first got Instagram, I didn't even get on it, to be honest, but when we first got Instagram, everyone was literally just maybe pulling out their phone and like taking a lazy picture of whatever, their cat, a tree. They didn't care about lighting, the lamp, their food, their face, and this is how we use the platform. And so we scroll through our friends' feeds and we're just like so happy to see so many pictures in one place because it's a new platform to us. We're just like, oh my gosh, look at that. I like that. I like that. But as we started to evolve in the way that we interacted with this new platform, and it wasn't new anymore, we started getting custom lighting sets and taking really nice pictures, or using a DSLR and not just our phone. We would stage some scenes sometimes. We would maybe take 20 shots and then narrow it down to the one that looked good. We would crop it. We would all of these things. And so now, I'm not saying if you take, a certain type of picture, it's a bad thing per se, but for most brands operating online that are trying to attract clients, you understand that presence and your positioning are affected by that image you display through Instagram, just as an example platform. So now you have people investing time and even money into great content on
Definitely.
Instagram, right? So to me, Instagram stories is just a new platform that has been released and that people were just using how they used it until they knew better. And so, we're just getting low quality video in the club or whatever, like I'm at the so and so concert and you can't hear or see anything. It's just lights and weirdness, or it's just like, oh, let me take a picture of my coconut water in my hand, like hashtag cocoa for light. Like, that's what we were doing and that's fine. But then again, when it comes to a brand that wants to have a certain presence, you have to think about, where are we going anyway? Okay, we're probably going to where this is more curated. We're trying to create more of an experience for our viewers, and then just skip to that level because it's going to go there anyway. So just skip to that level. And that's kind of like why I am trying to do it on stories, because I think Instagram stories is this platform that's going to advance to that level anyway. And why not do it on something where this is where a lot of people are spending their time? Less and less people are like tuning into a TV show at a specific time. If you're my age, around my age, give or take 5 years, the last time you turned on a TV program at a specific time was like never. You don't even remember it.
Yes.
Right? So we're used to like getting this kind of like on-demand content, whether it's on our phone or on our computer. And so my thought there is, if you create something that has that show-like feel on a platform that your audience is already interacting with on a daily basis, you're going to get a crazy cool reaction, which is what has been happening thus far. And then you're like, okay, well, it's going to disappear in 24 hours. Why would you do that? Well, it's kind of the same with traditional TV. Like, you had to watch the show the day it came out. Maybe it would replay once, but if you missed it, you just missed it. And so I kind of want to keep a little bit of that thing that did used to probably make you excitedly try to get home by 7 p.m. I want to try to keep a little bit of that on the platform. So you have 24 hours to watch it. And then what I'm probably going to do is make a few of the episodes available for free after the fact. I will record them as actual videos. But then after that, you can just buy the season. If you missed a bunch of episodes and you want the full story, you can buy the season. And now it becomes a stream of revenue as well. So
Awesome. Really smart. So I think with a lot of marketing gurus, like you've mentioned already, it's really those like flashy headlines because that's what we were taught in Marketing 101, to grab attention and to take a reader on this path. But then once we click on that headline, a lot of times, unfortunately, the content is not that fresh, or it's not that groundbreaking, or it's really just not that good. So because your approach is so hands-on and so inside, like it gives such a huge insider scoop into running an online business, do you think it might rub some people wrong way in this industry? And what do you have to, how can you refute those people?
Super great question. So there have been a few like blog posts that I've posted on my blog that or articles that I've posted in various places where you're kind of right. Like, normally it would be like a little bit odd to think like, why would it rub people the wrong way? They can just do them, I'll do me, blah, blah, blah. But it truly actually has, for some people, rubbed them the wrong way, as you say. And like, some of the articles have been on like, I think it would be more healthy for us to not be promoting like these crazy income reports without actual lessons or learning that go along with them, and without an accurate picture of the backstory. Because, okay, you can tell a story about how I made, $53,000 from one single email. And that's, of course, going to get people being like, click, what? But then you're not even saying anything about how your brand has been in operation for 4 years and how you've sent 700 emails before that one email, or how you messed up trying this and that program, or how even before the 4 years your brand has been in operation, you tried 17 different business over the 10 years before that and learned and got a lot of trial and error. And so I just think that it is an irresponsible misrepresentation of the amount of work it takes. And I see people in different groups that I belong to just saying, like, why is it taking me so long to make good money, or I'm hoping to, quit my job in the next 3 months. I don't have a business idea yet, but what do you guys think I could do to help me make like 10,000 a month in 3 months? Oh man, like that. And that has now become what is realistic to some people. And where in essence, it's not even in essence, I don't know why I said that. It is not realistic for most people. And so my qualm, issue, whatever, beef, if you will, that's so strong, would be with people who are making that seem normal by not partnering this report of how much money with the report of how much work it took, and simply saying something like, this is going to be hard work, you guys, but look at how much money I made is not enough. And I think that in the US, we have different like advertising rules and regulations, and I think they have not caught up with the internet yet. And not that I even live in the US, but like that is where I'm from, and this is where a lot of these people are doing business, and they haven't caught up with the internet and with bloggers yet. And it kind of makes me mad, because I think we have a responsibility, even if the law is not in place yet. I think we have a responsibility to other people. So what I would, respond to people who are upset about whatever, I might be saying or doing. I'm never lying or being rude when I create these pieces of content.
Definitely.
It's just, assess how necessary it is of what you're doing. Like, one of my big pet peeves is people who have refund policies where, you have to like send in 3 weeks worth of homework to prove that you did the work, and you have to take a screenshot of this and, sign a statement that you did A, B, and C. And it's just like, if the person wants their money back, like, why would you want to hold on to that? So I just would ask you, like, truly, like, not being funny, like, for anyone who wants to, rebut or whatever what I'm saying, like, that's fine. Like, we can disagree, but please ask yourself why you have those policies in place. Who are they meant to benefit? Who are they meant to protect? Why do they exist? And like, it just, like, the highlight of what annoys me is there was this podcast, and I won't mention names, but there's this podcast with one big name marketer interviewing another big name marketer. And this big name marketer who's getting interviewed has this course that is a couple $1,000s, and it has one of these really tough refund policies on it. And the reason it has that tough refund policy on it was because this person was getting so many returns of their product. And so this big name marketer is interviewing and is like, check out this interview of what so-and-so did to, seriously reduce their refund rates. And I was like, oh, what did they do? What kind of new customer service did they implement? And the whole point of it was they made it harder for people to return the item. And I was just so let down, like, oh, my refund rates are better because I made it hard for a customer who no longer thinks this is a good fit or doesn't have the money for it or whatever, wants their money back. I made it hard for them to just exist. Wow, that is the highlight of my life,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't
Sure.
like it.
But what do you think, because we are working in this digital space and all of our products are virtual, do you think there are a lot of people who are trying to take advantage of that, who will pay you $20 to download your ebook, and then once they get it, they're just like, oh, it's not for me, I'm done? Do you think there's a lot of that, or people who truly want to learn will just not take advantage of that?
Those, super great thought. And I think, to some level, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Like, there are going to be people who are going to take advantage of that. just as with anything, like if you have a physical store, 98.3% of your customers will never ever think about stealing from you. And the other 1.7 or whatever math I did will think about it, and 0.03% or whatever the numbers are, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
will indeed steal from you. Um, and that's going to happen. And to me, honestly, like because I come from a retail background where I was, managing a store with $1 million of inventory, or it did millions and millions of per year in business, and it was shoes, but it was a super large store. Like we had to, like when we got inventory, we had to account for loss. Like there was a certain percentage acceptable loss because guess what? Some employees even were going to steal from you. Customers were going to steal from you. I've chased after people on a crowded street in New York City before and through a mall in Austin, Texas before, out into the parking lot because they stole from my store. I don't like it, but it happens and it's a part of doing business. And I think the reality is the same way that when you're shopping in a physical store, if you come in and the employees have their eye on you the whole time, and I've experienced this a lot,
That's true.
and then they're kind of like watching you and maybe like so close to you and always asking like, "Are you okay?" But they're doing it in such a way that you're like, "Back off, bruh." Um, the way that you feel less than, the way that you feel in that moment, it is very similar to what you are creating, with your customer. If you build in policies that show that you don't trust people, and I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to look at your policy and see that there's no refund or see that they have to show 18 months of work and be like, oh, I'm hurt, she doesn't trust me. But I am saying that it is establishing a certain like just culture and feeling within your product, and maybe you need it. Maybe you need that policy. But I guess what I would say is you're always going to have people who steal from you, but the majority of people are trying to learn. And so if you build in a percentage in your mind of quote unquote loss that you're going to experience, then when you do indeed experience it, someone sends a chargeback on their card or someone asks for a refund but then keeps the ebook, or like has happened to a lot of course owners that I know, and I've seen some of my courses, this has happened to them too. You'll have people steal the content and try to resell it online. Cost of doing business to where you have to be ready to defend yourself or just, accept a little bit of loss, depending on what the situation is.
That's
Sorry, I
a
have long
great.
answers to everything
No,
today.
this is perfect. This is so awesome. I think that's a lot of great insight, and this was really a good comparison. So what do you think about like you said, there is a responsibility for those who just get into business and become depressed when they don't make their first 100,000 in the 2 or 3 months of doing
Yeah.
business. But do you think that our industry, at least like internet learning and self-improvement industry, is really caught into those shady tactics and really, like flashy headlines and no content whatsoever behind those? Or do you think there's still a chance for it to improve, and maybe whether it's legally or whether it's just through education, just making people think of those and the responsibility that they take on when they start teaching others?
Yeah, so, in general, any tool is only as good as the person fashioning it and the person using it, right? There are, I'm sure through the history of time, we can see that things have been used well and they've been used to protect and help people, but those same things maybe can be turned into weapons of evil. And not to like say the internet is evil, but we have people who have different motives and they're always going to use things in various different ways. And so, for me, as much as there might be like a little bit of like doom and gloom and like look what's happening and this terrible practices in the industry, there's also space for us to innovate, and there's space for us to create brands that really treat customers well and educate customers on what it's like to be treated well, so that when they go elsewhere and they're being pressured, like you have to buy this $1,000 course in the next 30 minutes or else it's never going to be available again. Then they're kind of like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would somebody try to make me make a $1,000 decision in 30 minutes?
30
I
minutes.
don't like it. I'm just not going to do it. There's probably going to be something else for me. Or what is most likely the case is that same course, you can sign up for that same webinar again and get that same offer all over again. So it wasn't real in the first place, which maybe you don't want that course, but whatever. The point is, if we want to, people who care about stuff like this can create a culture around consumer protection. And as consumers, we can start to make different demands. The internet has made so many types of people be able to connect with each other, and we need to make our voices heard. If we don't like being pressured, the same way if you walk into a store and you don't want them to kick you out if you haven't made a decision in 20 minutes, just tell, speak up for yourself. Like, hey, listen, I like your store. I like your merchandise. These jeans look really great. But if you're going to make me buy them in 20 minutes, I don't want the sale. Why don't you calm down? Probably don't say that. Don't ever tell anyone to calm down, pretty much. But anyway, why don't you just give me, a little bit of time and I'll come back to you if I have questions. But it's definitely going to take me longer than 20 minutes. Have a real dialogue about it. And obviously it sounds slightly different online, but I think that we can create a positive culture around the exchange of information online for money. And we have to use our creativity and our innovation, I think, to that space, especially when multiple countries' laws have not caught up with what's happening online and the way we're kind of doing false advertising online. So, did that answer you?
For sure, yeah. I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of false advertising and like almost scare tactics and people
Sure.
trying to take advantage of fear of missing out.
Sure.
Definitely. So tell us how we can catch a first episode. Do we snapshot it or what do we do?
Right. If you go to iwillpayyou.tv, you'll actually be able to see the trailer for the show. I have two trailers. One of them's only in my Humans of Online Facebook group, Humans of Online Business Facebook group. That's a long name. But if you go to iwillpayyou.tv, that's also going to be where the show schedule is released. So it's going to have specific air dates. The first episode is airing on 8/9/17, August 9th, 2017. And that'll be the first full-length episode, which on Instagram stories is a few minutes. But yeah, so people are, obviously you can screenshot things like that. But what I'm going to do is try to make probably the first couple episodes or a few episodes of the season available for free so people can get an idea of like what is an Instagram story show, because you get to get images in there, you can get moving images like GIFs, you can put video in there, you can have sound, there's so many, you can have people swipe up and go to a special link. There's so much you can do with them, so it's an interesting concept to get your mind around. But anyway, people can definitely screenshot, but what I am planning on doing is recording all of it as video, and that way people will be able to catch the episode for a small fee, but plus get some extra tutorials and tips when they pay that fee. And I do think I actually just lined up a sponsor for the show as well. So that means, I can make some money off of this without having to pass all the costs off onto people
That is
who might be
great.
watching it. Yeah. So hopefully that answered. Yes.
Yes, awesome. So what is your favorite social media platform and why?
Oh, that is such a good question. It just kind of depends on how you mean it. Like if you mean it as far as, what's my favorite to generate traffic for my website, it might be
What's your
Pinterest.
favorite social media for personal maybe use, and then also the one that probably generates the most business, makes the most business sense?
Very good question. Honestly, probably if I was just using it literally personally, my favorite would probably be Twitter or Facebook because the hilarious conversations that you can have on it. But I don't really think that I would necessarily say that's my top for business. Um, Top for business, I guess, honestly, I would just have to say overall, Facebook is so powerful because you can be doing Facebook Lives right now. Right now, I have some I consider hilarious Facebook bots going, like robots that will have conversations with you. I have, Robo Regina on one of my Facebook pages. Anyway, it's beside the point. Obviously, Facebook groups are powerful. So, Facebook ads are crazy, crazy powerful. So, that would probably be my favorite thing to kind of learn and innovate with because it's such an innovative company. But I love spending my time on Instagram and just looking at pretty visuals. I don't really like posting a lot of pictures of myself, but if I can look at other pretty pictures and use stories and like get funny DMs from people and go back and forth in comments, that's kind of fun. But yeah, so that's a lot of answers. I guess Facebook would have to be the answer. But I love Instagram, so.
Perfect. Awesome. So, one thing you would leave our visitors with, our viewers with, what did you, in running so many different businesses through a couple of years, what do you think your number one tip is? What did you learn that will definitely help anyone independently of their industry, their business, and the stage of business they're in?
That's a great, great question. I think that my answer would probably be that this is a really important concept that I feel like could help us so much. So my answer would be this, that as soon as you tune in to somebody else's work or accomplishments and set that in your mind as some type of goal or marker to be competed with or whatever, to be in competition with, it's almost as soon as you do that, you have limited your thinking to that thing. And what I mean by that is, for a time, as crazy as it sounds, like it sounds kind of contradictory. You want to pay attention to what your competitors are doing and you want to know what's happening. You want to be aware of your marketplace. But at the same time, my advice would be for a time to not pay attention to that, not because of jealousy in this, because that's a very real thing. Totally understand it. Hello, I'm human. Have had it happen. But honestly, because of the limits and limitation of your thinking. It's just like, if you watch Instagram stories all the time because you're planning on using them well for your business, if you literally watch them all the time and find your favorite and all of this and blah, 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 then it seems like a lot of times you get stuck with understanding it in those constraints. And the reality is, if you had taken a step back and not even gotten caught up, you would be like, okay, what does the platform do? What do people like? And now what's possible? Like, what is the craziest thing I could do with this platform? What's the fastest thing I could do? What's the most interactive thing I could do? What's the least interactive thing I can do that's most automated? And you could go in so many different directions until you finally land on something that makes sense for you. But it's so much harder to do that if you just have all these examples in your mind that are limiting you. The same with income or anything like you're measuring yourself against. You're like, oh my gosh, she got to X thousand followers in 6 months. It's like, why is that even a metric, man? Like, you could get to there's a way to get to 1 million, or there's a way to get to 100, and all 100 of them care about your brand.
They love you.
And 50 of them bought from you. That's a possibility. So, sorry, I get excited about this, but it's just, I think that would be the one thing, is that please, like, all of us, I'm talking to myself as passionately as to anyone else, is don't spend time getting caught up in how other people are doing things. Not because of whatever basic reason you can think of, but because you will limit your own creativity and thus your own potential if you focus on other people's results and outcome, or what they choose to show us. We don't even know what their deal is, to be honest. Yeah. And so that would be my thing. Like, imagine Ask yourself key questions about how your audience is using something, what your audience cares about, what they need, what they want to see, what makes them laugh, what makes them tick, all of that good stuff. And you'll find a space for yourself that's comfortable for you. It stretches you a little outside of your comfort zone at times, but it is comfortable in the sense that it matches what's inside of you. You'll find that if you focus hard on the people you're trying to serve and not hard on the other people who are trying to serve those people. That is what I think I would say.
That was amazing. That was really deep. Great ending note. Yeah, so I will put all of the show episode notes and all of the URLs we've mentioned underneath the video. Thank you so much for this. It was a really simply amazing interview. I think you've shared so much information. People will watch this video. So
thank you for having me.